Something unusual was captured in a small village in the region of Surin, Thailand, and it brought out the entire village as they were hauling this catch in. Now, once this was uploaded to social media, millions of people chimed in stating they captured a mermaid because that's what the tail looks like. But I was able to pull the follow-up video, and although it's not a mermaid, it's definitely a huge fish, and it looks like something we haven't seen before. Take a look at this. Comment below and let us know what this is.
หางใหญ่มากดูแต่หางครับโอ้โหใหญ่มากขึ้นไปครับบอลลูนตัวนี้ครับ4 โลครับไปครับใหญ่มากใหญ่กว่าเมื่อกี้ครับใหญ่กว่าเมื่อกี้นะครับเพราะว่าโอ้ใหญ่มากครับใหญ่มากตัวนี้ดูแต่หางครับมาจับหางเลยครับหางเลยดูหางครับใหญ่มากเป็นกันหางเงือก138โอ้138ใหญ่กว่านี้ครับโอ้138ครับครับโอ้โหไม่ต่ำกว่า20บึกจัดครับดูนี่งับไปเลยครับมือใหญ่ครับพิสูจน์ปากพิสูจน์ฟันเนี่ยบึกแท้จะไม่มีฟันครับนี่ครับนี่จุ๊บนี่ครับของใหญ่ครับตัวที่5บ้านสกลตะเคียนกับเชิงสุรินทร์ไม่ต้องกลัวศูนย์พันนะครับมีลูกพันธุ์ที่บ่อยพันปลาครับบึกแท้
I've looked the devil and multiple demons in their eyes, and I want to give you guys some game on exactly what they actually look like. Many people have demons or people with demonic attachments in their life and they have no clue. And there's big misconceptions on what this actually looks like. So there's this ancient practice called scrying. No, I'm not going to teach you how to do this. If you want to ruin your life, go find somebody else to help you. But I had done this many times in the past before reverting. And through these experiences, I had different outcomes. And it wasn't just dependent on the spirit or the jinn I was looking at. Most people think demons show up as this scary, ugly, spooky, demonic thing that haunts your nightmares and you're going to be constantly terrified of it. But that's just simply not true. See, what demons really want is power and control. They want to control your life. They want to dictate you. They want to control what you do. And by scaring the piss out of you, they have limited control. All they're going to be able to do is fear. And yes, fear is used as control. There is better methods of delivery. So a lot of the time when they appear in our dreams or otherwise, they're going to show up as an image to get a very, very specific reaction. They're not going to show up as this terrifying creature. You guys have to remember, demons are tempting. They are very persuasive. They are good at what they do. And if they constantly look like a RuneScape goblin, you're not going to listen to them. And the big rule of thumb for me is if I make eye contact in my dreams, it's spiritual. It's not just a dream.
Someone tell me how this is legal. Apparently self-driving cars can fry your phone's camera if you try to take a picture of it. This black box on the top of the new Volvo EX90 is called a LiDAR sensor. It's basically an infrared camera that helps your car see. Well, some guy on Reddit discovered what happens when you try and take a video of it. So this guy took his iPhone 16 Pro Max and pointed his camera straight into this black box. He zoomed in close and, well, it fried his phone. The result was a permanent red and purple pixel explosion that effectively ruined his camera. Volvo actually specifically warns against this. They say it's like looking into the sun. Don't do it. LiDAR basically fires laser light pulses in all directions at all times. Those lasers bounce off of different objects, creating a 3D map of the world around it. To our naked eye, those lasers are invisible and harmless, but when a camera's image sensor picks up on those powerful lasers, it can etch a permanent pattern into your camera. LiDAR sensors on self-driving cars are becoming more and more popular. It's simple. Just don't point your camera at them.
Dude, they got her. I'm not kidding. Look at her hand. Look at Chloe's hand. Look how it's gray, man. I've got the answers. I know what happened, seriously. So this right here was Chloe before, man. Somebody explain. Hold on. Before we go to that, just check us out. What about this chick right here off Wicked? What's up with their hands being like... Explain it. Because before, okay, it cut her. Anyways, before, dude, she had fat hands, but now they're. Anyways, hold on. Same thing with Ariana Grande, dude. Look at her before. Woo wee. What happened to her, man? I mean, how can we help her is what I want to know. Seriously, man. All of these Hollywood people, dude, they go from looking like normal, good looking, whatever, to something happens to them and they go looking like this. Now, somebody tell me why they go looking like this. Tell me, okay? Did y'all know that I use electroculture in my garden too, man? Check out this strawberry, man. Electroculture is where you get copper, you put a little spiral, anyways, look at the difference in that and none. Explain that to me. If it doesn't work, explain it. But back to Chloe, though, man. Look, if you really want to know, dude, go...
Wait, did you know that mirrors just broke quantum physics? Yeah. Scientists discovered that if you place a particle in the center of a perfect mirror setup, it stops acting like it's being observed. You heard me right. It removes the observer effect. In quantum mechanics, when you observe something like a particle, it changes. But in this mirror setup, no change. No interference. They created what's called an impossible condition, a system so balanced, so symmetrical that quantum noise just disappears. That means we might finally be able to study quantum systems without disturbing them. Huge deal for quantum computing, precision measurements, and yeah, basic reality as we know it. This isn't sci-fi anymore. This is now. Mirrors aren't just reflecting light anymore. They're reflecting pure quantum silence. Follow me for more.
So someone decided we don't want to be at the bottom of the pyramid. We want to be at the top of the pyramid. So we'll flip it. But then we got a problem. This place is only this size. Greenland is only that size. So what we got to do, we got to make it bigger, and then we'll put ice on there. So since we're at the top with the ice on it, now we can tell people that's the north. Do you see how they messed us up? They flipped and invert. That's what happened. Look, I got scriptures out of the Bible. All these scriptures out of the Bible confirm like this. Let me give you an example. And he said also to the people, when you see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway you say, there cometh a shower. And it is so. You know what he's saying? Now he's standing here, around here where his flag is. When they see a cloud, so let me zoom out. I gotta zoom out so you can see this. Where's my...
All right, I'm gonna hop on this thing and see where it goes. Try to, at least. No idea where it's going. It goes straight into somewhere. Pretty weird around here, that's for sure. I think it's got all the cards too. Whoa, what is that? No, I'm out. Want nothing to do with that.
I've been seeing this hotel mirror hack everywhere, so does it actually work? A regular mirror is just glass with a shiny metal layer, usually aluminum, on the back. That's why when you touch it, there's a tiny gap between your fingertip and the reflection. You have to see through the glass before the reflection bounces back. Now, those interrogation room mirrors, they are actually one-way mirrors, although people often refer to them as two-way mirrors, which just adds to confusion. Here's how they really work. One-way mirror has a thin, partially reflective coating on the front. It reflects some light and lets the rest pass through to whoever's watching you on the other side. Since the coating is right on the surface, your fingertip and its reflection look like they're touching. But this touch test is not always foolproof. Whether the gap exists also depends on how thick the glass is in comparison to the reflective coating in a normal mirror. So what's a better test? Turn off the lights and shine a flashlight at the mirror. If someone's hiding behind a one-way mirror, you're gonna illuminate the creeper. Or you could try this.
Not only do I think there's more land on the outside, I think there's more land on the inside, in the North Pole. I think there's a continent in the North Pole, right? What cultures call the Garden of Eden, Hyperborea, Agartha, I think is at the North Pole. There's a lot of literature and research around this. There are even maps that were cartographed in the 1800s.
And are we allowed here?
There isn't a treaty not allowing people to go there, but it's difficult to go there. When we tried to go there, we couldn't get any pilots, we couldn't get any sailors who would even discuss going beyond 85 degrees latitude.
Why is that?
Because what happens is apparently all communications are lost. So when you get to a certain point, 85
And does
degrees,
this also sync with the round Earth?
with the round Earth, yeah.
So you also, people just don't go there even though when the Earth is round?
Even if the Earth is round, no one has been to the 100th degree right on top.
No one's been?
No, not officially. You're made with the plane.
We need to get there.
Let's fly there. Let's go there. Beyond the Aurora Borealis, right to the 100 inside. The problem is, what people say is, the magnetics of your plane start to gyrate. They start to lose their compass.
Yeah.
Because there's high frequency of magnetism at the center.
Yeah.
People haven't gone there or can't go there. Again, Admiral Byrd, the same guy who went on the outside, claims to have gone on the inside and met beings there.
Human looking?
Human looking.
Wow.
If someone said to me, let's get on a plane and let's fly to this place, at the center, let's try and get there. But we might crash on the way because of the magnetics and all that. I'll say let's do it.
You'd do it?
Oh, definitely. In a heartbeat. So for me, when I stand and I think to myself sometimes, let me question this. Is this model, this ball spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and then spinning at 65,000 miles an hour around the sun, then spinning at 550,000 miles an hour with the sun around the universe, and then whizzing through space at God knows how many millions of miles an hour. Right now, this is all happening, and I can't feel or sense any of it. Right? To me, that makes no sense. So this would be the Earth sitting on the waters. And around each of these realms, there's an electromagnetic torus field, what NASA calls the Van Allen belts.
So that rocket that you spoke about earlier hit the belt?
Yeah, the Van Allen belt, the electromagnetic radiation field. So I don't think the dome is a solid, glass bowl.
It's not like the Truman Show.
No. It's an energy field. And even NASA, and this is what a lot of people, NASA, in one breath, they say we can't get past the Van Allen belts. We've never been to space because we can't get past that. But we're working on technology to get past it. You then ask, so how did you go to the moon? The moon is supposed to be beyond the Van Allen belts. How did you do it in 1968, 50 something years ago? But you're saying now you can't do it. Right? So I think when they say we're going into space, I don't think they're going beyond this, because this would be outer space. They're just going really high up into the thermosphere. So if you're up here and you're looking down, this is where the ISS is. It's in high Earth orbit, inside the electromagnetic Van Allen belt. So they're not actually going beyond it. So our sun and moon are small and local to us. So when the sun is on this side of the Earth, it's daytime here and nighttime there. And they rotate that way, like a yin and yang. So that's how time works. On the outside here, their sun and moon is Mars and Venus. So their moon is Venus, and their sun is Mars, and they rotate around.
Are either of them hot?
So Mars would be hot like our sun. So Mars is a sun like we have our sun, Apollo. Right? And Venus would be a moon like we have our moon. On the outside, their sun and moon is Saturn and Jupiter. So Saturn is the sun of this.
And this is what you teach your children?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Venus is, Jupiter is the moon of this realm. So they regulate time and space and matter.
Pluto, that's not a planet anymore.
No, it's not. No.
Not for you either.
That's why I've stopped here. If there were more planets, then I would be able to syncretize that with this model.
Do you think there is more planets? We just can't see them yet?
Possibly. Possibly.
So again, this ending here isn't really an ending, it's just that you can picture at the moment. That's
yeah, well, the information that I have
goes on and on.
Could go on and on.
It could.
Someone just needs to walk in here and say, right, Martin, you're an idiot. Let's get on a plane. I'll show you that this doesn't exist.
And then you'll be like, cool.
I'll be like, let's do it. Let's go. Show me. Prove it. Let's explore. Right? Let's prove this wrong. That's what science is about. Science is about discovery, right?
For sure.
So this is a scientific theory. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Let's go on a plane. Let's get on a boat. Let's sail to these places. If we get to the North Pole and there's nothing but ice and we go over the North Pole, the 100-degree latitude, and come out the other way, I'll come back and say, oh, I was wrong.
And you genuinely don't mind if you were proven wrong?
I want to be proven wrong.
Okay.
The Earth is not a spinning ball wobbling and spinning at unbelievable speed in the supposed space.
Not many people know this, but heavy metal music exists because of a horrible factory accident. In the 1960s, there was a teenager named Tony Iommi, and for many of you, you'll immediately recognize who that is, but for the rest of you, let's just let it be a surprise. He learned to play guitar and was in a bunch of local bands, playing music very similar to the current popular English rock music of the time, like The Who, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks. But Iommi was also working in a local metal factory to help support his family and pay for music gear and stuff. At a certain point, he decided that he wanted to pursue music full time. So he decided to quit his metalworking job. So it's 1965 and Iommi is 17 years old, and tomorrow is the last day of his job. His 2 weeks notice is almost up, but something in his gut tells him that he shouldn't go tomorrow. And he goes and he tells his mom, I'm not going to work tomorrow. Today was my last day. But his mom says, nope, you can't do that. You got to honor your promise and go work your final day of work. But for some reason, they choose on this day to stick him on a machine that he has no experience with. He's never used it before, and he doesn't even know how it works. So he starts trying to use this machine that involves a hydraulic press coming down and cutting metal. And at one point, he sticks his hand too far into the machine, and the hydraulic press comes down and cuts off the tips of his middle and ring finger. So they collect the severed fingertips in a matchbox and rush Iommi to the hospital. But unfortunately, the doctors tell him that they can't reattach the fingertips, and he's never going to play guitar again. So Iommi is really depressed. But then he learns one thing, and it's that one of his favorite guitar players of all time, Django Reinhardt, also had an injury where he lost 2 of his fingers, which inspires Iommi to overcome the odds and play guitar again. So Iommi creates his own homemade prosthetic fingertips by melting down plastic and forming it to the ends of his fingers, and starts to relearn playing guitar that way. But despite his new inventions, it's extremely difficult to play, and as a result, Iommi has to use lighter gauge guitar strings and tune them down lower so there's less tension on the strings, and play a lot slower than he was used to. So now that Iommi's playing again, he goes out and he reconnects with some old friends and forms a new band that was originally called Earth, but eventually gets retitled as Black Sabbath. And Earth/Black Sabbath wants to be a rock band, but because of the way that Iommi has to play with the lighter gauge strings, the down tuning, the slower playing, the guitar sound of the band is much darker and heavier and slower and gritty and aggressive. And because of this, the sound of Black Sabbath is unlike anything that had ever come before it. There are a couple songs that predate Black Sabbath that are somewhat credited with helping to shape the early sound of heavy metal, like Helter Skelter by the Beatles, Dazed and Confused by Led Zeppelin, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida by Iron Butterfly, You Really Got Me by the Kinks, but the first debut album by Black Sabbath is credited as the first heavy metal album that ever existed, and certainly set the tone for the sound and the feel of what heavy metal is in a modern context. So the next time that somebody tells you you can't do anything, just think of Tony Iommi.
What do you guys know about the Poo Suppression method? See, these bits of paper covering the rim of the seat protects your arse cheeks from getting like syphilis and chlamydia and all of that, bro. Keeps them squeaky clean. It's like a 2-factor authentication. And this right here, like, I can even touch it. I'm that confident I won't get piss on my hand. But this muffles your shit and produces a nice soft coating for when the brown liquid releases out of your cheeks, bro. It's beautiful. This is the best method when you're trying to take a shit. Don't knock it till you try.
You know what nobody talks about, dude? When ChatGPT dropped, and students started using it to like write essays, right? Those teachers, dude, were probably shook. Dude, they were probably so confused. A year ago, the last class they were reading the most dog shit, grammatically incorrect, historically wrong piece of shit papers of all time. And then the next year, they're reading academic journals. They're reading essays handcrafted by Mark Twain himself. A classroom's filled with all of these geniuses, dude, writing papers better than they could ever write themselves, dude. They probably thought the world was healing. Dude, they probably thought that this was the generation that was going to save humanity. And finally, kids are interested. They want to learn. No, they're liars. They're liars. Dude, could you imagine the teachers reading them one after the other? Holy cannoli, Justin. This is fantastic. The teachers' lounge, they were probably starting podcasts about how proud they were. That room was filled with coffee breath that could fucking knock out a village. And it was just kids cheating. It's crazy, dude. Thank God they caught on. You know, they got the softwares that could, read the essay and figure out if it's AI. But for a short sliver of time, dude, they were astonishingly, they were reading essays that were like, after the assassination of Julius Caesar, his grandson Octavian, who later took the name Augustus, rose to power and became the first Roman emperor and founder of the Roman Empire. And this is a year after reading my essay that's legit. Julius Caesar, we would like to thank you for your delicious salad dressing. And
I wanted to ask quickly, Mr. Musk, what is your eye okay? What happened to your eye? I noticed there's a bruise there.
Yeah, no, I was just messing around with little X, and I said, go ahead, punch me in the face, and he did. Turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did? Yeah. X could do it. If you knew X,
I saw his mom right now.
Were you aware of Elon Musk's regular drug use?
No, I wasn't. I think he's fantastic. I think Elon is a fantastic guy. And
are you troubled by these reports?
I'm not troubled by anything with Elon. I think he's fantastic. Did a great job. And Doge continues, and by the time it's finished, we'll have numbers that'll knock your socks off. It's going to be, he did a fantastic job. And he didn't need it. He didn't need to do it.
Oh man, I ain't seen these particles since I was a little kid on my granny crib. Oh yeah, it still smells like 2016.
This happens every night. Watch this. He's going to sit next to me. We're going to do a little side-eye contact. We're going to side-eye. Hey, buddy. He's going to come over here. Here he comes. Here he comes. Every night we do the same routine. Hi, big boy. Did you have a long day without me? I'm home now. This dog loves me so much. It's the coolest thing.
Zelensky isn't in charge in Ukraine, and it's time that people see it. I know this is going to be hard for some people, but let's talk clearly. Zelensky is not the one running Ukraine. He's the president, yeah, of course. He's on the screens, he gives speeches, but he's not calling the shots. Simple as that. The people really in charge, they're in the US, the EU, and the big global groups that don't want peace. They want control. Since the war started, Ukraine has taken over $200 billion in weapons, money, and support from the West. That's not a gift. That's a leash. If someone pays your bills, they usually tell you what to do, don't they? And every time peace gets close, Zelensky says no, even when his own people want the war to stop. Why? Because he's not speaking for his people anymore. He's speaking for the people who pay him. People who need this war to keep going. Because it makes money. Because it keeps people scared and it keeps attention off of them. And that's the real problem. This war isn't just about land. It's about power. And while the West praises Zelensky, they attack Trump for wanting peace, for wanting countries to stand on their own, for saying America first. Because when Trump says he wants peace through strength, they call him danger. But ask yourself, who's the real danger here? The guy who wants peace, or the people who make billions while countries burn? Zelensky is doing what he's told. He's playing his role, and when he stops, he'll be replaced. Because in this game, Ukraine isn't the hero. It's the product. The people suffering, well, they're just caught in the middle, unfortunately. So if you're still thinking this war is about freedom and democracy It's time to wake up. This is a business, a power play, a global move to keep people scared, angry, and distracted. And if you're still cheering for it, you're probably not thinking straight. You're just repeating.
There's an unspoken code to being a lone wolf empath. Practices that no one teaches you, but you just know. If you've ever felt different, misunderstood, or disconnected from the world, these unspoken rules might explain why. Number 1, silence is sacred. The lone wolf loves the sound of silence. This is where truth is revealed. Because a lone wolf doesn't just listen to words. They sense what isn't being said. Words can deceive, but energy, never. Rule number 2, trust begins from within. No matter what they encounter, they always trust their own ability to navigate any situation. The moment a lone wolf stops fearing betrayal and realizes that their power lies within their own self-trust, they become unstoppable. Rule number 3, freedom first. Remember, a lone wolf follows their own path. They don't follow trends. They don't follow expectations or the need for approval. They have learned that they're allowed to say no without guilt. They don't agree to things just to be nice or to avoid conflict. This also includes walking away from fake friendships or forced connections. You also know the rule to embrace freedom as a form of self-expression. Rule number 4, alone does not mean lonely. A lone wolf walks their own path not because they have to, but because solitude is where they thrive. And if you think you're a lone wolf but you're struggling with loneliness, then perhaps you're not a true lone wolf then, are you? Because a true lone wolf empath knows how to give themselves compassion. And without that, they're just a wounded, lonely lone wolf. And there's nothing empowering about that. Rule number 5, deep connection is rare. And when I say rare, it means you may never find it in another person. And if deep connections are so rare, it's because you do not have a need to be understood. You only have a need to understand yourself and believe in yourself and trust in yourself. And that is what shapes the code of the lone wolf empath.
Yo, my friend, thanks for watching all this video. We've seen interesting stuff, you see? From strange, mysterious animals to people doing stuff that makes them look younger. How does that happen, by the way? To different perspectives that other athletes have, see? And all these, my friend, have all been for entertainment purposes, but we're spreading our message of love. I've been your friend YT118, and it's been a pleasure being with you. Not child of God. Here, we always put God first, and the beginning at the beginning and at the end. And today, we shall say a short prayer, but first after we read from the book of wisdom. And this book, my friend, tells us a short story from Luke 16:10 going down. Hear this, it's about honesty. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So, if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? No servant can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. That's where we shall reach for today. Interesting. Leave your perspective down below and the rest of it will make. Thank you, Father, for this point you've reached. Thank you for your goodness and love. Thank you for the experience you've given us. We give you glory. Today come before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Together with this viewer, Father, we ask for forgiveness of all our sins. Dear Lord, may you intervene in this viewer's life. Bless them abundantly from where they are, Father, and lead them in your path. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we pray, trusting and believing. Amen. See you next time, wonderful, beautiful child of God. Peace and love be with you. Bye-bye. Goodbye.